Today we are working in Chapter 2, Lesson 1, page 95, and we are working on problems 18 through 30. 18 is completed for us. Our directions for 18 through 21 are write each decimal as a fraction or mixed number in simplest form. So when we look at number 18, we see we have the decimal 3/10. When we read that 3/10, that is a clue to how to write it as a fraction, 3/10, 3/10. Number 19, we have 65/100. But to write that as a fraction, it's 65/100. And we see that 65 and 100 are both divisible by 5, so we can divide each of those numbers by 5. 100 divided by 5 is 20, and 65 divided by 5 is 13. So we get 13/20ths, and there is no GCF. The GCF is 1 of 13 and 20. The GCF is 1, so that can't be simplified further. So that's just 13/20ths. Okay, looking at number 20, we have 425 thousandths. So we want to write that as a fraction, 425 thousandths. So anything that ends in a 25 is divisible by 25. And we obviously know that 25 goes into 100, so it'll go into 1,000. So we can divide the numerator and the denominator by 25. So I know that 25 goes into 100 4 times. So it would go into 400, 4 times 4 times, or 16 times. And then we have this extra 25, so that's 17 times. Okay, and then 25 would go into 100 4 times, so it'll go into 1,000 10 times as much as that, so 40 times. So we get 17/40ths, and 17 and 40 have a GCF of 1, so we can't simplify that fraction further. And then number 21, we have 9 and 35/100ths, so 9 and 35/100ths. 35 divided by, these are both divisible by 5. Our GCF is 5, so we get 7/20ths. So 9 and 7/20ths. Okay, number 22, we're working the opposite way. Write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal. So here we want to change these to tenths or hundredths or thousandths so that we can express them as decimals. And we can do that with long division, like we can do 311 divided by 500, or we can do that by scaling up. So we'll take a look at each of these problems. 19/25ths, I can see that I can easily scale this up to 100 by multiplying by 4. So whatever I do to the denominator, I also need to do to the numerator. So this would give us 76. So 76/100ths as a fraction would be written as 0.76, excuse me there. 0.76 is 76/100ths as a decimal. 23, we have 311 500ths. So we can take that 500 and we can easily scale that up to 1,000. And so that way we can write it as a decimal to the thousands place. So to get from 500 to 1,000, we just double the number, so times 2. So what we would need to do with the 311 is the same thing. So double the 311, we get 622. So 622 thousandths would be written as 0.622. So 622 thousandths. 5/8, 8 doesn't really easily go into 10 or 100. So let's go ahead and do this one with long division. So we would do 5 divided by 8. Okay. And 8's too big to go into 5, so we can't put anything above the 5. We'll just put a 0 there and a decimal, and then we'll annex a 0. 8 can go into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. We subtract and we get 2. annex a 0 and bring it down. 8 can go into 20 2 times, so we write the 2 above that 0 that we just annexed. 2 times 8 is 16. We get 4, annex another 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 40 5 times, and then we're finished. So 0.625, 625 thousandths. And then we have 14 3/5. We can see 3/5 would scale right up to 6/10. So we just double the numerator, double the denominator. That would give us 14 6/10, which we can easily convert to a decimal, 14 6/10. Number 26. Evita lives 85 hundredths of a mile from her school. Write this distance as a fraction in simplest form. So 85 hundredths, we can see that 85 and 5 are both divisible by, or excuse me, 85 and 100 are both divisible by 5. 85 divided by 5, it's going to go once. So 17. So 17, and then 100 divided by 5 is 20. 17 and 20 are relatively prime, so we have no common factors. And if they asked it for it as a fraction in simplest form, so that's what we have, 17 20ths. Number 27. Rancho Middle School has an average of 23 3/8 students per teacher. Write this mixed number as a decimal. So we have 23 3/8. So we'll just write the 23 point for the whole number, and then we just need to write the decimal. So 3/8, I'm going to use division for that. 3 divided by 8. 8's too big to go into 3, so we put a 0 above the 3, add a decimal, bring it straight up, and then annex a 0. 8 can go into 33 times. 3 times 8 is 24. We get 6. Annex another 0, bring it down. 8 can go into 67 times. 7 times 8 is 56, and we get 4. Bring down another 0. 8 can go into 40 5 times, and we get a remainder of 0 here. So 0.375. So 23.375 is the decimal equivalent to 23 3/8. Number 28. Alan bought 20 yards of fencing. He used 5.9 yards to surround one flower garden and 10.3 yards to surround the other garden. Write the amount remaining as a fraction in simplest form. So we need to find out how much he used, subtract that from his total, and then convert that to a fraction. So we have 5.9 and 10.3. And that's what was used. Line up our decimal when we're adding. 9 plus 3 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 plus 0 is 6. And then we have 1 here. So 16.2 yards were used. 20 minus 16 is 4. Minus 0.2 is 3.8. So 3.8 yards remaining. However, they asked us to write that as a fraction. So that would be 3 8/10, which would simplify to 3 4/5 of a yard remaining. Number 29. In a survey, 9 out of 15 students named math as their favorite class. Express this as a decimal. So 9/15. When I look at that fraction, I'm going to, I see that those are both divisible by 3. So this I will simplify to 3/5. And then I can actually scale that up from here. So 3/10 is the same as, 3/5, pardon me, is the same as 6/10. And then I can express that as a decimal. 0.6 tenths. So that is the that rate written as a decimal. Then moving on to number 30. The frequency table shows the favorite college football teams of middle school students. What fraction of the students chose the Sooners? Write that fraction as a decimal. So we want to tally these up. There were 20 total because we want to know what fraction. So we know we're going to be some number out of 20. And then we come over here to the Sooners and we see that 5 students chose the Sooners as their favorite college football team. So 5. And we're asked to write that as a decimal. So we can go ahead and scale that up to hundredths, okay? We can't scale it down to tenths because 5, if we divide it by 2 here, we would get a fractional or a decimal numerator, which we can't have. So we're gonna go ahead and scale that up to hundredths. 20 goes into 100 5 times. So we multiply that by 5 to get our denominator of 100. And so we need to do the same thing to our numerator, multiply the numerator by 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. So we get 25 hundredths. And we have that as a decimal, 0.25, 25 hundredths. And so that was extra practice on converting from fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions on 2.1, page 95, problems 18 through 30.